guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really good. Today's video I wanted to talk to you about leaf insects. Now before I tell you about my mini little project that I'm working on, I did want to answer some questions because a lot of you have been asking me where my other leaf insect is. I haven't featured her on this channel in a while, and that is because she did unfortunately pass away. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I thought I'd mention it because some of you still are wondering where she is. I have spoke about it on various other social medias many times, but I do understand that not all of you follow me on there. So I will leave the link to the tweet in the description where I addressed this and spoke about this. And I'm not going to talk too much further about this, but she did pass away and I've really missed having a leaf insect in my life, so I have made the steps to not just get one, but 25 more leaf insects. So let me explain. I don't technically have 25 leaf insects at the moment, but I did really want a leaf insect again, or a couple of leaf insects, and I was originally going to get some more adults, but they do live a very short lifespan. The leaf insect that I did have before, unfortunately, by now would have already surpassed her natural lifespan because I did buy her when she was very close to being in her final form. So I really wanted leaf insects again, but I was going to get adults, but I decided that it would be really nice to experience them from hatching all the way up to their adult form. I thought it would be really cool to experience that process, and I thought it would also be really cool if I could share that with you guys. So I did order 25 leaf insect eggs, which are in this Tupperware container here. I'm going to put them back on the heat mat in a minute, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about these. These are a species of leaf insect that I haven't had before. These are Phyllium tobolance, which, knowing me, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I'm trying my best, and I'm really excited to hatch these and have these leaf insects. They're a really cool species of leaf insect. I picked them because of the wide variation of colours they come in, and I'm really excited for them to hatch, although it is going to be a good couple of months before they do. So yeah, for this part of the video I just wanted to answer any queries you had about my previous leaf insect and tell you guys I am trying to hatch these 25 eggs. In the next part of the video it's just going to be me getting them in the post and setting them up, so without further ado, Editing Emmy is going to take you to that now. So my leaf insect eggs just arrived in the post in this envelope, and I've already opened it and had a little look inside, but I'm just going to take out what is inside. So the last time I ordered a leaf insect from this guy, he was good enough to give me a care guide, and he sent me another one for the eggs and then also for the leaf insects when they do eventually hatch, so that is what this is. And then all the way down the bottom is the eggs themselves, which are in this tiny little test tube. So here are the eggs. I ordered 25 of the Phyllium tobolance, also known as autumn leaf insects. These are a really cool species of leaf insect that were discovered fairly recently. I chose to go with this species because they do range from a greeny colour to orange all the way down to a dark red, so I'm really excited to hatch these guys and see what colours they come out as. These were laid in December, so it is going to be a few months until they actually hatch, but until then I just need to put them on some heat, and I'm going to talk you through the process of doing that, but I do need to keep an eye on them before they hatch, but it is going to be about March, April time before we actually get to see these guys. So this is what the eggs are going to be living in for the next couple of months. This is just a plastic Tupperware container, and when the eggs got delivered this morning I realised I hadn't saved one of these from my Chinese takeaway, so I had to ask one of my neighbours if they had one, and luckily they did, so I went and picked this up from her today just a couple of minutes ago, and I'm going to put some holes in it with this knife for ventilation, and then I'm going to put the eggs inside. So I have my heat mat here with my Tupperware tub on top, as they do need to be kept warm and humid, so in a minute I'm going to be dampening some paper towels and putting them inside of the tub before putting the eggs in. So you probably can't see this, but I have made tiny little holes in the top of the lid, and then I'm just going to place that on top of there once everything is inside. So I've got my damp paper towels which I'm just putting inside. I will be changing this regularly because it's really important to make sure that the eggs don't get too wet. They do need a bit of humidity to make sure that they do hatch, but it's important not to let the eggs get too wet. If they do, then fungus might start growing on them, and then obviously they won't hatch, so I will be changing this regularly and checking on the eggs to make sure there's no fungus growing. If any of the eggs do start growing fungus on them, then they will have to be removed because then they won't be viable anymore. So all I'm going to do now is open this up and place the eggs out evenly onto the paper towel. So all phasmids, which are leaf insects and stick insects, are really good at camouflage, and they will lay eggs that resemble seeds, just like mine, which you can see here. So these eggs are actually covered in a chemical layer of calcium oxalate, and this just acts as a protective barrier to protect the eggs. There are a few theories as to why their eggs have evolved to look this way. The first one is that it may work in the same way that seed dispersal works with birds. So a bird will come along and eat a seed, fly away and then poop it out somewhere else. This just helps to disperse the seed to another area where it won't be competing with the parent, and in this case with the parent leaf insect or the parent stick insect. Scientists have studied it and found that a tiny percentage of these eggs, when they were ingested by birds that ate them, did actually come out of the other end and survive and go on to hatch. So this may be one of the reasons why the eggs actually look this way, to entice birds to eat them and for them to be dispersed away from the parents, because leaf insects are quite slow animals and they can't really travel a great distance to lay their eggs, so it works in their favour if the eggs are then transported somewhere else, so they're not competing for the same resources in the same area. Another theory which does make a lot more sense to me, because such a small percentage of them survive when they are eaten by birds, although that is the reason that many insects like this do lay so many eggs in one go, to make sure that there is a higher survival rate, because a lot of these eggs in the wild just wouldn't make it. So another theory is that some species of phasmid eggs look this way to attract certain species of ants, which will then carry them into their nests, and this is a much safer space for them, away from things like predators and parasites, and just sitting on the forest floor and not having a damp enough environment. The ants can then carry them into their nests, which is where they'll develop and they'll hatch. And funnily enough, a lot of leaf and stick insect nymphs actually resemble little ants when they hatch, which is probably the reason that they do survive and leave the nest and manage to get away from the ants. So I wanted to talk you guys through what my plan is going to be with these leaf insects. As of right now, I am just going to be keeping these eggs warm, ventilated and humid. I'm going to be changing the paper towel every few days to make sure that it stays clean. So as I said before, it will be a couple of months before these guys actually hatch. It will be around March or April time, so we have quite a bit of time to wait before we can even see them. Now apparently the hatch rate for them is quite good, but the mortality rate comes in when they are nymphs. This is when they have a hard time finding their food, and this is when they are least likely to survive. So I'm thinking that all 25 of these, if not a couple less, will hopefully hatch. But it's when they are nymphs that they may have a higher mortality rate, and I may lose a few, but hopefully not. So after this stage, when they do hatch in this Tupperware, I may put them in this smaller enclosure, although as I do have potentially 25 of them, this may be too small, although you don't want to give them an enclosure that's too big because they may have trouble finding their food, they may wander off away from the leaves and have trouble eating. So I'm either going to put them in that enclosure as tiny little nymphs, or I'm going to put them in my other leaf insect enclosure, which is this one. And then this is what the lid looks like. It's just got ventilation and mesh to prevent them from escaping. So this will work well if I have too many of them to go in the other enclosure. They will go into this one. And then I've already ordered a really exciting cage for them when they are full grown. It's an ELC cage, which is specifically targeted at leaf insects, stick insects, any other inverts like that. The sides are specifically made for them to climb and for them to molt on successfully, so I'm really excited to get that cage, and that will be what I keep most of my colony of leaf insects in. Now I'm not entirely sure if I will keep all 25 of them, or if I will have some that I am able to sell. Obviously all 25 might not hatch, but I am really interested to see what colours they come out as, and then choose which ones I want to keep. I probably will keep all 25 for them to live as a colony and lay future eggs, but if I do have any spare, then when the time comes I may be selling them. But for now I do plan on keeping all of them, and I'm just really excited for them to hatch, even though it's a couple of months away yet. So that is it for today's video, guys. I'm really excited to be owning leaf insects again. I've really missed having a leaf insect around, and now I could potentially have 25 of them. I hope you guys are also really excited to follow along this process with me. It will be a couple of months before I make another update video on this, with fingers crossed that it all goes successfully and that they hatch. But in the meantime, make sure you are subscribed to see any future animal related videos from us, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!